Okay, just want to show you guys a quick comparison between the modules of accounts payable and accounts receivable. Okay, so we have here side by side the modules in accounts payable on the right on the left and accounts receivable on the right. Okay, so these documents usually they are the opposite counterparts lah. Whenever, let's say, as a customer, when you make a purchase order, is somewhat equivalent to like a quotation like that. So when you are issued a quotation, if you confirm already, you put in purchase order, so they are similar. If you have received and if you key in the receipt order, usually it's because you've been issued a delivery order. If you key in the supplier's invoice, it's because you've been issued an invoice. Same for debit note and credit note. And then when you make payment, you issue a payment voucher, and then the recipient will key in a receipt voucher. Yeah. So you can see these are the counterparts and how they connect. Okay. However, for the exercise, right, we're just gonna do create start off the journey at supply invoice, but once again, just like how quotation is can be imported to delivery order, purchase order can be imported to receive order and then to supply invoice. Or it can skip the receive order and go straight to supply invoice. And similarly, the supplier's invoice, supply debit note, credit note, all three of these will touch on the trade creditors account. And these documents, when they're created individually, they're not going to be linked until they're all imported to the same voucher lah. They can be payment voucher or receipt voucher because billing documents, they can be imported to payment voucher on the AP side or receipt voucher on the AR side for contra purposes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, for this example, we're going to start off at supply invoice and then just end off at payment voucher. So that is the shortest, the quickest way to start and end one purchase sorry, a journey on the AP side. Yeah. Okay, so just gonna follow the example here using the business partner that we registered. This time around, we are using the item that we have created to buy, which is the truck rental. Quantity will be 5, unit price will be standard. Oh, one more thing, forgot. So actually, yeah, realistically speaking, when you key in the supply invoice, you're not issuing a new document. You're simply documenting down an invoice that your supplier has sent to you lah. So you have the supplier invoice in hand or on screen, and then you're keying in the details. So on that note, when you are keying in this field is because this document number that was created, right, is generated by our system using the running number format. But since you are buying from more than one supplier, you are going to receive document invoices from many different suppliers using many different running number formats of their own. Okay, so there's no way the system can accommodate for that with an automatic format. Therefore, this field over here is meant for you to manually key in the invoice number that was issued by your supplier. So take a look at the invoice and key in the invoice number. It's also to prevent confusion lah. In case because the nature of this supplies invoice is you receive it, you document it down. That means more than one person. Let's say the team in charge of AP, right? AP document entry, maybe more than one person, and then you may, let's say, the different people key in the same invoice. Yeah, then it becomes a duplicate. So to prevent that, right, just enter the supplies document number here so that you can have a point of reference to look out for any duplicates and prevent them. Lor. Okay, so we're going to skip the debit note, credit note side. We're just going to go straight to payment voucher. Okay. So in payment voucher, I think you guys all know the drill already. We first things first, for just like any other document entry, we select the business partner. In this case, you are the one making the payment. For receipt voucher, you are documenting receipt voucher which from a transaction that was made to you lah. But for payment voucher, you are the one issuing it. You are the one making the transaction. So therefore, there is no bank amount because you can just refer to this amount over here when the details are imported, right? And then make the payment according to that. Yeah. Okay. After selecting a payment mode and business partner, you're gonna click import. So I'm just gonna use the OCBC. Sorry, the UOB. Import document outstanding, and then this is our outstanding document. Um, you can refer to this column reference here, INV.12345, to know that there's an invoice you're paying towards. Select row, and then yep, full amount. Let's say we're making a full payment, we don't change the amount over here, and then we can save this document. And actually, as simple as that, the billing document came in, and the billing document was knocked off and no longer outstanding with this importation. Okay, now to cover now the process is over, and we're going to talk more about payment voucher. We're going to talk about the non-trade. We're going to talk about a bank transfer, and also later on the advance payment, which is using the same O button that we see on the receipt voucher. Okay. Also, cover check layout later. Okay, this is just to give you an idea of what to expect because we'll be dwelling on this module for a while. Okay, for non-trade, okay, this one, the non-trade for payment side is going to be a little more complex than on this receipt side lah, because there are more fields for you to take note of, more details for you to enter. So we'll go through one example. Actually, no, we're going to go through two examples. One is part of the PDF that you guys downloaded, that exercise over there, and then another one is the one I prepared out of system lah, just to give a more clearer explanation. Okay, so just to do one system entry here, for later for our example and all that, I'm going to create this. Telephone. Mhm. Okay, that's a simple entry. Yeah. Now I'm going to show uh on our presentation slide over here. Okay. So these are some the highlighted fields over here. Company name, UEN, document date, document number, then GST registration number / permit number. These 5 columns are columns you won't see in any other document entry modules, only in payment voucher specifically for non-trade inside the expense tab. Yeah. Reason for this is because when you have non-trade, you're not selecting a business partner. These information usually are stored inside business partner registration. So the system automatically can access their information based on which business partner you have selected. But since this is not the case, you have to manually provide this information. Excuse me. So starting with company name, that it will be the name of the company which you are making, not say making payment to, but incurring the expense from. Okay, we'll see this in a minute. You may not be paying to them, but you may be incurring the expense. The company may be incurring expense from that company. Similarly, for the UEN of that said company, you incur expense from, and then their GST registration number, or if they're not GST registered, or let's say they're based in other countries, excuse me, then permit number, if any. There's also the document date. So the date of any document which you have about the expense, let's say like a receipt or an invoice, and then also the date of that same document. Oh yeah. So to touch on this again, these fields, right, they're technically not compulsory yet because there's no enforcement in the system to say that these fields are required before you save the document. Okay, but recently it's become more and more important, and to fill in these fields because because of a few reasons lah. So number one, if let's say you are using GST API or GST seamless filing from software, these fields are compulsory because yeah, IRAS requires them. Number two, having any of these fields missing, it will affect your GST listing report. So GST sales listing report, GST purchase listing reports. You may see some empty fields in each row, according to the empty fields that you might have left over here lah. Yeah. And why that is a problem is because those reports you may not be submitting them with every quarterly GST submission, but if let's say at any given time IRAS could ask your company for those reports, and they will be asking you for those reports that they won't be giving you like a preempt lah, like say okay for the next few months give us this report. They'll be asking for those reports for months that have already passed in the past. So you wouldn't not want there to be any missing information in those listing reports when you're being asked for them. Yeah. So that's why because the system has no set enforcement to make it so that users have to enter these fields before saving, all the more users need to take note of it yourselves lah, to key in these fields before saving the document, before creating the document. Okay, so now we have an example on how to key in this information, especially if it's not familiar to you guys. And also, it will showcase how my point just now of how you may not be making a payment to that company, but you are incurring an expense from them. So to start off, we look at the top. This document is non-trade, and the person receiving the money here, or the payee, is Mr. A. This Mr. A is a company staff, a staff working in our company. Payment mode OCBC, okay, check pay is them. So what this is basically a staff reimbursement of the expenses that this staff member has incurred on, let's say, a company trip that the company is reimbursing for. So we can see 4 line items over here, 4 different expenses from 4 different companies at 4 different dates. All that, yeah. That's why the company name here, there's one for each row, and isn't always the same as here. This is the person, the money, the bank transfer, the money is going directly to, and these are the accounts that are gonna store the expenditure. Yeah. So we take a look line by line. Line number 1 is the account is petrol, and the company name is Shell, their UEN, which is the same as their GST registration number, and this is the date of the expense, 22nd October, 27th October, 2021. This is the receipt number, and then the amount and tax code. So this is standard rated. Next one is transportation. Company name Easy Repair Shop. Their UEN and their permit number is different. Different date, different document number. This amount, and since they're not GST registered, so the appropriate tax code for this is NR, and then so 0 GST. Okay. So next line, pantry supplies is the expense account, and NTUC fair price. So maybe this person, this is the coverage for the food expenses, and everything here same deal. And then there's medical expense under polyclinic. So maybe there's a medical checkup or medical procedure that is being claimed also at $50. The tax code for this is BL, medical GST income, but not claimable. Then totaling 655.15 being transferred to Mr. A. But at the same time, since the Mr. A is incurring these expenses on behalf of the company, so therefore it's going to these different expense accounts that are going to be credited. Yeah. Okay, oops. Okay, so continuing back to the system over here. Okay, so that was non-trade. Now for the last payee type is bank. So this bank here is being short for bank transfer. So the only time you'll be using this payee type is when you are making a transfer between company bank accounts, or let's say cash accounts. Basically any chart of account, any account inside the chart of accounts, there's another bank category. Yeah. So I'm going to follow our exercise scenario here, cash, UOB, and cash transfer. Since we are selecting two different payment modes here, sorry, two different bank accounts here, just to simplify things, like just to make things clear, this is a payment voucher. So the payment mode being selected is the bank account that is being used to make a payment. So this is gonna have there's gonna be a withdrawal from this bank account, and the account over here is the one that is being debited. So it's gonna be debited, or there's gonna be a deposit to this account. Yeah, just so that there's no confusion. So this example over here is a top up of petty cash, but it can also be used for any bank transfer. Yeah. So the amount is entered over here. And this is a very simple bank transfer. Just to show, using the GL button here, these are the double entries. The UOB account got credited, so that's a withdrawal. And then the petty cash account got debited, so that's a deposit. Okay, last but not least, we have our advance payment. So actually, this is the same concept as the early receiving early payment from your customer. This one you're making an advance payment to your supplier. Okay. Okay. So in this document, firstly we need to select the business partner which you're making the payment to. Select your payment mode because these two cannot change after you click on the O button. Okay. So then we click on the O button. Okay. Out comes this dialog that we have seen before. Once again, pay attention to make sure the document name and the reference together are unique from any other entries that you have or might make in the future. Yeah. So one way to do this is, since the document name usually is quite common because we're going to name it something like advance payment. So the reference, we can make it unique by entering a bank name and then date, month, year, for example. However, this may not be unique if you're making multiple advance payment within the same date lah, from the same bank. So just pay attention to that. This is not a set in stone rule lah. Yeah. Okay, so we click on OK for the system to generate the line over here. So you can see the column that normally contains the document, the name, number of the document which was imported. Now it just says advance payment. And I think for on the receipt voucher side, it says deposit. Okay, but I digress. Let me just enter the amount over here. So it's the same concept. The need for this is for when you are making a payment to your supplier before they have the chance to issue you the supplier's invoice. Or even if you want to break it down into further detail, even if they issue to you already, but it has not been documented into the software, so you can have no supply invoice to import lah. Yeah, the whole function is The purpose of it is to bypass the need to import a billing document in order to add a line under trade payment voucher. Yeah, so that's the whole purpose of it. So once you have your billing document, once again create a new payment voucher, select the business partner, import both of these documents, for one from document outstanding, the some advance payment from other outstanding. Okay, and then we add. Also, if your advance payment is correct, that means you have transferred them the correct amount that you were supposed to transfer them, and they bill you the exact same amount. It should be a zero transaction payment voucher document. Yeah, so take note of that. Also, the same concept applies lah. Just because you have made an advance payment doesn't mean you need to create the entry this way. So long as you can afford to wait for the supply to send you the invoice, or for your team member to key it in before you create a payment voucher, you can simply go by the method of waiting before doing so. But let's say month end, you need to do bank recon, need to do closing or whatever reason, you just need your general ledger to be updated with the double entry and to match your actual bank and whatnot, then by all means, this function is here for you. Okay, now we're going to go on to check printing. So check layout, it can be found under setup accounts and then check layout. Okay, so now here we're just going to register a check layout for our um, DBS bank. Okay, so this module here is a little small, huh? Okay, let me, actually no, I cannot afford to make it bigger. Basically, there are 4 sections here. We have printer section for printer details, check section for the check template. We have the document, the name and code and all that you are going to set. So just these 3 sections. So usually when we do a setup, we start with the name and all that first, but this time we're not going to. We're going to enter what is already known first, because the name itself will decide. But the printer details, we already know what printer we're using. The check layout, the template, we already know what kind of check we're using. Okay, so we can later on, we can use the information here to decide the name. So first things first, you take a look at your printer. You need 2 pieces of information: the printer's brand and the printer's model. Okay, which may or may not be in this list. If it's inside this list, that's good. Select the brand, select the model. If it's not in the list, select the same brand and then the model. Try and select something that's close to it. And then after that, we just configure the displacement lah. Yeah, because by selecting this brand and model, it's just to help the system get the alignment to be very close, or yeah, to be very close to matching your printer's innate alignment. Okay, but if not, then that's fine. You can still adjust it to fit perfectly. Yeah. Okay, now with that settled, select your check layout. So your check layout, you need to see what's the country, currency, and bank. So in this case, we have Singapore, SGD, and the bank UOB. Sorry, let's do DBS. Okay, DBS Bank Limited. And for certain check layouts, there will be a display of the design over here, just for you to double confirm, because there are going to be some banks that have multiple check layouts that are prone to confusion lah. Like for example, OCBC, they have 4. They have this one, this one, this one, and then this one. Yeah, a lot of people confuse some of them. Okay. So with these 2 pieces of information, especially if your printer is, you should do a test print, and all the more if your printer brand or model is not selected here. Okay, we click print, the system will generate this. So this is the print job that is going to be sent to your printer. It's a A4 size if you notice. So that's why there can be certain inaccuracies because the check paper size is about this big and A4 is that big. So there's alignment that is required. Okay, but you can see the orientation of this check paper on the A4 compared to the A4. There are different places that you can move. Okay, so let's say for example I do a test print and this thing is my check paper. It's like that, and then the print is a bit sengit, and let's say it's something like that. Okay, so I need to move the printout, this printout over here. I need to move it, shift to the center over here. So what I can do is I can use a displacement over here. These arrow keys, they are for shifting the print. So if I click on left, it will shift. Every click I do, it will shift the print 1 millimeter to the left. And if I click up, it will shift 1 by 1 millimeter to the right, upstairs. You'll see the number here change also. So this number is in increments of mm. So -4, that is moving left by 4 mm. Okay. So let's do a bigger change. Let's move it by 3 cm. So that's 30 mm. Up we go by 10. So -10. Okay. We do a print. And we can see, yep, the print job has moved, but it's not close to center enough yet. So I need to move by, let's say, 40 mm to the left. I print. And now we can see it. Okay. So previously our printout was over here. Now it is over here. And let's say now it's perfectly matching my check printout. So the box is over here. The line is over here for the date. And then for the name, it's over here. Over here. Over here is saying SGD. And over here, line and line. Okay, so then perfect alignment. So use this to test print, and it's because, okay, I'm not sure if I showed you guys, but this one, it makes it so that you don't have to create an actual entry. You'll take the date of today's date, you'll fill in the payee name until full. Same for the number over here and the number over the amount over here. So saves you the time of creating a testing entry. Okay, if you do test printing, just a tip, right? Don't use the actual check paper. Do make a photocopy of your check paper and then print on that photocopy. Also, if you want to save paper, don't want to make too many photocopies for each test print, right? Simply use correction tape or liquid paper to roll over that same photocopy. Then you can use it again and again for the test printing. You have to get the alignment correct. Okay, now with that settled, let's say everything here is confirmed already. Now we just have to decide on the name of this check layout. So the name, to keep things simple, you can put all the information inside so that it can never be confused lah. So something like the printer brand model, and then the checks, the bank name and currency. Yeah. So like Canon LBP 6230DN DBS SGD, something like that. You don't have to name it that the full name like that. But if let's say there's another different check layout with that is also from Canon brand, then a different bank, then you can name it a different bank name but with the same brand and model, all that. Yeah, so they can be differentiated lor. It also makes it future proof lah. Because if you're lazy and just put something like layout one, thinking that this is your only printer, this is your only check and your only bank, so no big deal. You're always going to select layout one. But if let's say there's a new bank or new printer, you're selecting new layout at that time, it may get confused lah. Yeah. So to make things simple, I just enter the whole thing here. And then the code, that's when I can simplify, say layout one. Okay, more and then the important part over here is the type. So if you recall, when we were creating the OCBC bank, I mentioned that oh wait, did I mention? I'm not sure. Maybe I mentioned, maybe I did not. But to the currency and the bank initial, to take note of that, because it's important for check layout. So over here, you see you're not selecting the bank account name. You're simply selecting the currency and then the bank initials. Yeah. So this will help to link to the bank account or perhaps maybe even multiple bank account. And so yeah, now the check layout is linked to that bank account. Okay. So the bank account, as you know, we cannot select the bank account directly in the payment voucher as a payment mode. We need to register as a payment mode first. So the bank account is tied to the payment mode. And the payment mode is the one that is being selected on the payment voucher. So through that for through those four links, we should see that the check layout is linked to this payment mode over here. Yeah, so now you can select this layout. If you were to use a different payment mode, you will see there's no layout for this payment mode. And that will be it on the check layout. Okay, and actually that's it for this topic of accounts payable. So let's see what's our new topic. Okay, our next topic is details tracing.